dead. Zombie killers. Okay, so I'm getting my car done and I'm waiting, and here's outside, right? There's an arcade, and I've been sitting out there and I'm thinking, where can I go to just kind of get away? And I'm not sure if these guys are actually, if these people are trying to play the game or not. I don't know. This is like the funnest game, and it's zombie killers, right? So I was thinking, in real life, what would those zombie killers be? Like, what are the things that kind of kill you, kill your spirit? Like these. Like, we have these people in our lives, right? Or we have these situations in our lives that are killing us. Okay, so I had to come out of that area because I felt like there was probably people that wanted to play that game, and I felt messed up being in there. And I apologize already because this is impromptu. I did not have a lapel mic to have better sound, but it doesn't matter. The content is the stuff that's important. So what I wanted to say is, when I'm sitting here and I'm waiting for my car to get fixed, basically, and I'm wasting time. And one of my favorite games here is the zombie killer game that you just saw. I don't know why, I just love killing zombies, and it got me thinking spiritually, like, what are the real life zombies in our life that we're trying to kill? What are the things that we're trying to get rid of in our life? And so I made a list of kind of the real life zombies that I know that I've been dealing with, and maybe you guys can relate to some of this. So one is change that makes us feel scared, like we're gonna die. When we're experiencing like some massive transitions and changes, it just makes us feel like the world that we have been experiencing and felt safe in is not there anymore. And that deep fear that we get comes from that sense that the change took our foundation away, everything that we know. That's one of the zombies, right? It's one of those things that are chasing after us that seems relentless when we're going through change. Two is fearing that what's to come is never knowing happiness again, right? So everything is totally changed, and now that we're there, we feel like, when we're unhappy, we feel like we're never going to experience happiness again. We're terrified of that because we're in our feelings, we're in this massive transition and change, which naturally brings fear. And then when we have this fear of everything, but then the ultimate fear is like, am I ever going to be happy again? And, nobody can just say yes 100%, right? Because happiness has a lot to do with us, like the choices that we make. I really do think that you choose to be happy, right? Like you don't choose your misery. Like, well, that's not even true too, because some people do. Because you can choose to stay in it. But when things happen, you can't control everything that happens to you in life, and bad things happen. But you can change how you deal with those things, and you can choose to move on and to let yourself be happy again, and you also can choose your misery. But that's one of the zombies, right? That we worry that we're never going to be happy again. 3, worrying that you're not good enough, and that lack of whatever that is you think you're lacking will somehow make you fail at everything. And so that's a zombie that chases us around, that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, I don't know enough. And then we're comparing ourselves to every person on social media and every person we know that's having a good time. And we just think that we're just not good enough, right? And that somehow we're going to fail at everything because of that. And so we start feeling like a failure, and that's another zombie that's chasing us. 4, thinking that the way you feel about yourself everyone thinks of you, and they don't. In fact, a lot of times people completely miss it, right? People look at you and they know who you are and they know what you're about, and they automatically think, she doesn't suffer that. She doesn't feel that way. In fact, recently had somebody say, no, you don't have those problems that I have, with self-doubt and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, I do. Just because I'm healthy in what I know and what I know of how to be, it doesn't mean that those things don't get triggered in me. It just means that I know enough to start working on the healing of that. And people don't go around professing their insecurities, when they're feeling bad. They're maybe, if they're lucky, they're talking to one or two people that really care about them. But everybody suffers from that. Everyone, and other people don't see you that way. Like I know somebody who everyone saw as extremely social, and this person has social anxiety. Doesn't see themselves that way, but everyone else does, because everyone else doesn't see what's going on in their mind. So that just kind of reinforces in those examples that the way that you're thinking of yourself in those moments where you don't feel good about yourself, you think everyone sees you that way. The worst parts of you, because you're feeling bad in the moment and you think everybody sees me that way. They don't. They don't see you that way. It's just something going on in here. So those are my four things that are the zombies of our lives that are chasing after us every day. And now I want to talk about the antidote for the zombies, the zombie killer antidote. And there's really just 3 things, maybe 4, depending on how you look at it. One is surrender to all these things that we feel and that we go through. One of the best things that you can do for yourself is put everything on the field. Do everything that you absolutely can. And once you've done that, surrender it. Let it go. And surrender brings with it a great peace, but surrender doesn't mean that you just sit back not doing anything. You only surrender after you've done everything that you possibly can and you put it all out on the field, and then you move on. And then you let the universe take it, and you say, okay, it's in God's hands, it's in the universe's hands, however you want to say it. You let it go after you've done everything you possibly can, and you move forward. That's your only job, is to take action, because the next steps are going to start laying out in front of you and you're going to see it. Your job is move your foot. Next step, next step, next step. The next antidote to kill a zombie: trust. I had therapy today, and I believe in therapy. Everybody should get therapy, man. And if you have Kaiser, it's basically free, I believe, to most people. If you do it online, it's free for sure, no copays. I shouldn't say everybody that has Kaiser gets it for free. I know that on my plan, I do get it 100% free. And most of the tele stuff, if you do it online, you can get it for free. But I think therapy is so good, because we constantly have emotions that we're trying to process, and some are harder than others. And being able to talk to somebody, I can't tell you how good that is. Just to be able to say it out loud to somebody who's not connected to you, it's a professional, and then they're warm, in their response, and then they just help you see that you're normal. Everybody has problems, and they're just trying to help you focus on something that's going to benefit you. And one of the things my therapist said today, after I told her all the things that I'm doing to rebuild my life, and she said, the main thing is that it's okay to mourn the things that have changed in your life because they weren't according to your plan. You had a plan, and that plan didn't work out. And now all these pieces are moving around, and it creates an insecurity and a fear. But once I told her how I've done everything I can and I surrendered, she said that's exactly what you do, because now what you do is trust the process. Trust that the path is going in the direction that it needs to be going. So one of the ways to kill a zombie is to trust the path that you're on. Okay, 3. Believe. Believe in yourself, because oftentimes we stop believing in ourselves, and because things are going on and we think, how can I trust myself on anything else when, I thought this and it wasn't at all. Didn't turn out right. Maybe something that you were trying to do or going after didn't pan out, and you start doubting yourself. And no, that's part of life. Things just happen in life, and our job is to have all these experiences, right? And to process them, the good and the bad. That's why there's yin yang, right? It's the light and the dark. And we can look at our lives and look at the life out there, and we can see that the world is filled with total beauty and total chaos at the same time. It's like simultaneous. Don't stop believing in yourself and stop trusting yourself just because a few things didn't pan out. Believe in the process, and believe that all this change and all these zombies around you, in the form of your problems and the things that are making you suffer right now, with how you're handling things and moving forward and surrendering and trusting and putting everything on the field and then letting it go, and believing that you can be happy again no matter what's going on in your life. Believe that there's a better outcome. And sometimes I know that's hard to do, and trust me, I understand that completely. Believe even when you have no reason to. And that's all I'm going to say, because sometimes someone can keep coming back with negative things to say to everything I'm saying right now. And you can't do that. That's a choice. You can do that. But when you believe, you can wake up another day. You can try again another day. You can start to see the blessings. You may be in the midst of your suffering, and you can still see the blessings that are put in front of you. And I see that every day, and it's because I believe in the goodness of life, and I believe that life always gets better. And one of the things that I really like to say, not only to myself, but to other people, is that when we're in the thick of it and we're having the hardest time ever, look at your history, because your history has shown you that every hardship you have ever had, you have come out of it and you have gotten better, and you did experience happiness. And so history will show you that that's exactly what's going to happen again. You had the moxie before to get through everything, and you will have it again today. And that thing that helps you understand that is to believe. Believe that it gets better even when you don't feel like it's going to get better, even when you have all these zombies on your back. Just believe. And every day, just take one step forward and just keep moving. It's a choice. Happiness is fleeting, so that's not a realistic thing to say, oh, I'm focused on just happiness, because it goes up and down. You could eat a piece of chocolate and be happy, and then someone pisses you off 5 minutes later and you're not happy. So you're going for that longevity, which is a long-term happiness is possible, understanding that you bake into the cake that you will have some suffering along the way, but it doesn't affect your overall feeling of life, because you have a life philosophy that you believe in life, that you put everything out on the field and then you surrender it, and that you trust the process. And when you do that, you're going to kill some zombies. Okay, I'll see you later. I hope that made sense. I like the whole zombie thing. Okay, bye.